Hello and welcome to the 5th episode of our English Zone podcast channel. Today, my friend and I are going to teach you English through conversation. We're going to focus on learning English related to a very common everyday experience, paying for your groceries when you're at a supermarket.
That's right. Going to the supermarket is something most people do, well, pretty regularly. So understanding the English used in that situation is really practical. We'll be looking at useful words and phrases for when you are buying your food. This should help you understand what people say to you and also what you can say back.
Exactly. We want to make sure this is easy for everyone to follow, so we will speak clearly and at a good pace for learning. Let's start by listening to a slow version of a typical conversation, something you might hear when you are paying for your shopping at the supermarket.
Okay. Listen carefully now to the words that are used and, how they fit together.
Excuse me, sir. This is the express checkout lane for people who have 15 items or fewer. It looks like you have more than 15 items there.
Oh, come on. I have 16 items. Cut me some slack, will you?
Okay. Please place your items on the belt and push your shopping cart through. Do you prefer paper or plastic?
Plastic. I also have a couple of coupons.
No problem. I'll take those, sir. These coupons expired yesterday.
Darn. Oh, well, guess it's just not my day. Thanks, anyway.
Do you have a club card or will it be cash?
Yeah, I got a club card. Here you go. Will this be debit or credit?
Debit, please. Also, could I get cash back? $50 would be great.
Yeah, sure. Your total is $78.30. Here's your receipt. Have a nice day.
Okay, so let's take a closer look at that first part of the conversation we just heard. The first thing you heard was the cashier mentioning the express checkout lane.
Yes, the express checkout lane. It's interesting to think about why supermarkets have these. It's usually, it's for shoppers who only have a small number of things to buy. In this case, the limit was 15 items or fewer. This helps people who are just buying a few things get through the checkout, faster.
Right. Makes sense. And the customer, even though he only had 16 items, just one more than the limit, he asked, "Oh, come on, I have 16 items. Cut me some slack, will you?" That phrase, "cut me some slack." That's one you might hear quite often, actually.
That raises a good point. What does cut me some slack really mean? If someone says this, they're asking you to be less strict with them or to give them a break, maybe. The customer here was hoping the cashier wouldn't worry too much about that one extra item and just let him use the express lane anyway.
Yes, exactly. It's a casual way to ask for a little bit of, understanding. After that, the conversation moved on to how the customer would pay. The cashier said, "Please place your items on the belt."
Ah, yes, the belt. When we talk about the belt at a supermarket checkout, we mean that moving surface, the one that carries your groceries towards the cashier. You put your shopping on it and it moves along. It's important to remember this is a different kind of belt from the one you might wear around your waist.
Yes, that's a helpful distinction to make. Good point. Then the cashier asked a very, very common question. Do you prefer paper or plastic?
It's almost a classic line, isn't it? You hear it a lot. It's quite standard to be asked this in many supermarkets. The cashier is asking what type of bag you'd like for your groceries, a paper one or a plastic one. This is something you will likely hear in many English-speaking countries when you go shopping. Very common.
Absolutely. And the customer then mentioned having a couple of coupons. For anyone listening who isn't familiar, what exactly are coupons?
Right. Coupons are usually small pieces of paper. Sometimes they're digital now, too, on your phone, perhaps. They offer you a discount on specific products. Shops and companies use them to sort of encourage people to buy certain items by making them a bit cheaper.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
But in this conversation, there was a little problem with the coupons, wasn't there? The cashier said, "These coupons expired yesterday." What does expired mean here?
Good question. To expire means that something is, no longer valid. The date for using it has passed. You can think of it like maybe a carton of milk that has a use-by date. After that date, it's expired. You shouldn't drink it. The coupons the customer had were only good until the day before his shopping trip. So they had expired.
Oh, okay.
You might also hear the word expire used for things like, say, a driver's license or maybe a passport. Those things expire too, and you need to renew them.
That gets the meaning very clear. Thanks. And the customer's reaction to the expired coupons was, "Darno, I guess it's just not my day." What does that phrase tell us? It's just not my day.
It's just not my day. It's a common way to express that you feel like you're having a bit of bad luck or that things are just generally going wrong for you on that particular day. The customer couldn't use the express lane easily, and now his coupons weren't valid. So he felt like things just weren't going his way. It wasn't his day.
Yeah, it sounds like a bit of a frustrating experience for him. Then the cashier asked about payment options. Do you have a club card or will it be cash? What's a club card in this context?
A club card. Okay, that's a special card that some supermarkets offer, usually to the regular customers. You normally sign up for it for free, and when you use it while shopping, you can get discounts or special offers that other customers don't get. It's basically a way for the supermarket to reward people who shop there often, a loyalty card, essentially.
Okay, I see. And the customer replied, yeah, I got a club card. Here you go. Will this be debit or credit? So he has the club card, and then he's asking about the different ways he can pay by card.
Exactly. Debit and credit are two very common ways to pay using a card. A debit card takes money directly from your bank account right away. A credit card, on the other hand, lets you borrow money to pay. Then you have to pay that money back to the credit card company later.
Got it. Then the customer asked for something else. He said, debit, please also. Could I get cash back? $50 would be great. What does cash back mean?
Right, cash back. This is a service that many shops offer, particularly supermarkets. It's where you can pay for your purchase with a debit card and ask to have an extra amount of money added to the total bill. You then receive that extra amount back in cash from the cashier right there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so for example, if your groceries cost, say, $20 and you ask for $50 cash back, the cashier will charge $70 to your debit card and then give you $50 in actual cash.
Ah, I understand.
It's a convenient way to get cash if you need it without having to go find a separate ATM, a cash machine.
That's a very useful thing to know, actually.
Yeah.
Especially if you need cash quickly.
Okay.
Okay, so finally, the transaction ended with the cashier telling the customer the total price and giving him his receipt. Now let's focus on some specific phrases from that dialogue that are really helpful for learning English. Fluency builders, you might call them. The first one we heard, and we talked about it a little already, is cut me some slack.
Yes, cut me some slack. As we said, it means basically be less strict or give someone a break.
It's interesting to think about when you might use this phrase. It's usually in informal situations, maybe when you've made a small mistake or you're asking someone to be a little more understanding.
Yeah, it's definitely informal. We found some good examples of how you could use this phrase. Could you share a couple of those with us?
Certainly. For example, let's say you're a few minutes late meeting a friend. You could say, sorry I'm late. Cut me some slack. The traffic was terrible.
Okay.
Or maybe if you're learning something new, a new skill perhaps, and you make a mistake, you might ask the person teaching you to cut you some slack because you're still learning. It's about asking for a bit of patience or understanding.
Those examples really help to see how it's used in different situations. That's useful. Okay, the second phrase that's good to know is the question the cashier asked. Do you prefer paper or plastic? Yes. Do you prefer paper or plastic? This is such a common question, as we said. In supermarkets, but other shops too, that offer bags. They're asking about whether you want your items packed in a paper bag or a plastic bag. Being able to understand this question and answer it clearly is a small, but, important part of shopping confidently in English.
Absolutely. It's one of those everyday phrases that when you know it, just makes things feel a bit smoother when you're out shopping. And the last phrase we wanted to highlight is what the customer said when his coupons didn't work. It's just not my day.
It's just not my day. Right. We explained earlier that this means you feel like you're having a day where lots of little things are going wrong, or you're just having bad luck. It's a way to express mild disappointment or frustration, without getting too upset about it. You might say this if, you spill your coffee in the morning, then you miss your bus, and then you find your coupons have expired. It feels like, it's just not my day.
Yeah, sums up that feeling well. Okay, so those are 3 really useful phrases to remember for when you're shopping. Now, we also found some interesting information about supermarkets in America. One thing mentioned was about the kinds of people who often work as cashiers there.
Yes, that's an interesting cultural note. It's often observed that in American supermarkets, you'll see many students working as cashiers. This could be teenagers still in high school, or young adults in college or university. It seems to be a very common type of part-time job for students, maybe because the hours can often be flexible, which helps when you're also studying.
That's an interesting point. I think it was even mentioned that sometimes you might see more young women, maybe high school girls, working as cashiers, while young men might sometimes work in other parts of the store, like in the back, maybe loading things or putting items on the shelves.
That's an anecdotal observation some people make, yes. Those roles in the back, maybe in the warehouse or what we call stocking the shelves, that means putting the products out so customers can buy them. That might involve more physical work, whereas being a cashier involves more direct interaction with the customers, of course.
Yeah. Another thing that was mentioned about shopping in America was how popular coupons are. We talked about coupons earlier, but their popularity is interesting.
Yes, using coupons is a very common way for people in America to save money on groceries and other shopping. It's quite a big thing. You can often find pages and pages of coupons in the Sunday newspaper, for example. These coupons offer discounts on a huge variety of products: food, drinks, cleaning supplies, personal care items, all sorts.
So it's quite normal then for customers to actually bring these paper coupons with them to the supermarket.
Oh, absolutely. Very normal. You'll often see people at the checkout counter with a little collection of coupons they've cut out. They might be looking through them carefully to make sure they use all the ones they have for the items they're buying. Then they hand these coupons to the cashier to scan, and they get the discounts applied to their bill.
And even if each coupon only saves a small amount, like, say, 25 cents or 50 cents.
Exactly. Even small amounts, but if you have several coupons, those savings can really add up over a whole shopping trip.
It sounds like people can be very organized with their coupons.
They often are. And what's also interesting is that sometimes people might even decide to buy a particular product specifically because they have a coupon for it, even if it wasn't something they originally planned to buy, which shows how effective coupons can be for the companies, influencing what people choose to purchase.
That's a really interesting insight into shopping culture there. Now, we also have a section here that looks like a great way to review some of the important vocabulary we've learned today. It's like an audio review.
Yes, this part helps to reinforce your understanding of some of the key words from our supermarket conversation. How it works is we'll give you the definition of a word first, and then we'll say the word itself. So you listen to the meaning, then hear the word.
Okay, sounds good. Let's start with the first one. The place you line up to pay for the things you want.
That's the checkout lane.
Don't be so strict. Bend the rules. What phrase means that?
That's to cut me some slack.
Okay. To no longer be valid after a period of time.
That's to expire.
Charging more money to your card in order to receive cash back.
That's cash back.
A phrase for when a lot of bad things happen to you today.
That it is just not my day.
A place where goods are stored prior to their sale or distribution.
That's a warehouse.
To supply a shop with merchandise, putting things on the shelves.
That's to stock.
Domestic birds, such as chickens, turkeys, ducks, or geese, raised for meat or eggs. What's the general word?
That's poultry.
A person, usually a teenager maybe, that works at a supermarket and places groceries into bags.
That's often called a bag boy, though you might hear bagger too.
Right, and an arrangement of numbers and parallel lines on a package scanned at the checkout.
That's a barcode.
Okay, great. Now we're going to say those words again, but this time you'll hear them used in some example sentences. This should help you understand how to use them in context.
Okay. First word is checkout lane. Excuse me, can you tell me where the checkout lane is?
Yeah.
There are so many people waiting in line at the checkout lane. I hate coming to this grocery store because they don't have enough checkout lanes.
Next is cut me some slack. Cut me some slack. I'm only 2 minutes late. Cut me some slack. My wife just had a baby and I'm so tired. Cut me some slack. I'll send you the report tomorrow. Cut me some slack. Emily had a really bad week. I think you should cut her some slack.
The next word is expire. I'm sorry, sir, this credit card expired 5 years ago. You can't use it anymore. My driver's license expires in a month, so I have to get it renewed. Don't drink that. The milk has expired.
Now, cash back. I wanted to get cash back at the grocery store, but the cashier said they had a policy against it. Can I get cash back if I pay with my credit card? Cash back is the most convenient way to get cash in case of an emergency without paying additional fees.
And finally, the phrase, it is just not my day. I spilled coffee in the morning and got a flat tire on my way home. It's just not my day today. Today was just not my day. I have too many things to do and so little time. It is just not my day. I need a massage. Today was just not my day. We had a lot of problems with our new client.
That audio review is a really helpful way, I think, to make those new words and phrases stick in your mind. Hearing them used in full sentences really shows you how you might use them yourself.
Absolutely. And understanding these kinds of everyday conversations is, well, it's such an important step in learning English and feeling more comfortable using it in real-life situations like shopping.
Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the English you might hear and use at the supermarket. We really hope this lesson has been helpful for you and that maybe you feel a little more prepared for your next shopping trip.
Yes, and we encourage you to think about how you might use these new words and phrases next time you're at a grocery store. Even just practicing them in your head can be a great way to learn and remember.
Good advice. And we look forward to our next conversation, where we'll continue learning English together. Until then, goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone. Keep practicing.